Uno. Prueba. Uno, uno, uno. Uno, 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 uno. Uno, 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 uno.
Yun, meron na, Copy.
Uno.
Are you Pinoy?
I think so. Can you hear us?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Start car.
I'm okay, sir.
Okay, let's start.
Hi, sir.
Today our trainer is Victor. I welcome Victor.
What?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, my name is Victor. I'm part of the technical support, and I am going to conduct a training today.
Okay,
Okay.
sir.
Okay. So let's start first with the cameras. In any moment, if you don't hear me correctly, just let me know. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. So one of the tools that we use the most when we are configuring the cameras is IP Utility. IP Utility is one of the programs from ACTI that allow us to find all the cameras in our network. So the IP Utility has this UI, going to show you in real time how it looks when are several cameras connected. For example, here are some cameras connected in my lab, and where I can find the IP address, the serial number of the cameras, and the MAC address. Give me information too about the firmware version and the model. This is the easiest way to find the ACTI cameras in your network. It has like four specific parts. The first part in the upper part is the configuration bar, where you use to configure the cameras in bulk or one by one. The second part is what listed all the devices that are in the network in use subnet. The third part is when you configure the password. If all the cameras share the same password, you can configure here and log in automatically. And the last one is when you want to add a camera that is in different subnet. Okay, so the first one, and one of the most important pictures or options in the configuration bar is the change network. In this case, I need to select one of the cameras or several of the cameras and click in check network. Here I am able to change all the IP address configuration. My recommendation is during the first phase of the project, when you are configuring the cameras and the MPR, use a dynamic IP. But as soon as you finish, change to a static IP. This will prevent that any other IP unit connect to the network, generate interference. So, are we okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So, second part is to how to update the framework. We release constantly new firmwares who give more features or solve some errors in the cameras. In this case, we can use this button here to update several cameras that share the same framework. You need to be sure that the cameras have the same framework. For example, here I have cameras with different frameworks. Let's say that I want to update the cameras that are in the older framework. I just need to select those, click in update framework, and I can update from my local, from my computer. Okay, so that is for the IP utility. Do you have any questions so far?
Yes. Please continue, sir.
Okay. So now the cameras can be configured by the Internet Explorer 11 using the web configurator or use the MVR. I recommend that the first configuration made it, you should make it by web configurator. For this one, you need to use Internet Explorer 11 to have all the features of this framework. The default password is admin and the password that you see in this way here. I'm going to show you one of the cameras that I have connected right now. So let's try to log out. So you can change the language if you want, but I recommend start with English since all our documentation is in English. The web configurator has two specific tabs, that is the live view and the configuration. In the live view, you have some options. In this case, like since this is a PTC, you have the option of control the camera and the PTC and the from this live view. PTC stands for pan tilt zoom. So in the moment that you want to make a specific zoom, you can use this view to test first. Okay, so with the plus and minus, you can make bigger the screen. It's not going to affect the camera. It's just going to affect how it displays the feed in this case. You can take a snapshot if you want, and they are going to be saved in your computer. DO is a digital output when you have connected some extra lights or a speaker. You can control that from this. This is a shortcut for that. Now, let's go for the setup of the camera. So we can we have grouped all the features of the camera in the menu in order to access easily to this one. The time and date is really important to keep it synchronized with your server. See, in this way, you are not going to have problems with the recording. Give me a second. Okay. So you have two ways to configure the date and the time. You can use the NTP server that can be either internet NTP server or can be your switch. that is going to provide the information about time and date, or you can set it manually. In this case, I set it manually, and you just need to configure correctly in this one. For the network, which is one of the most important configurations, we have the IPO filtering and the port mapping. The port mapping, you use it when you want to put the camera in the public IP, or you want to use a DDNS in order to access the camera from a different subnet. In this moment, I have the configuration, the default configuration of the cameras, but you can modify this according with your router or your network rules. We have security. If your network implement any type of security, you can configure the security from here. In network, we have all the different ways that we can discover the camera. How can we find the camera? In this case, we have the IP utility, that is the proprietary ICTI way to find the camera, or we can find it by on beep. There's a common protocol. Do you have any question related with the network?
None so far, sir.
Okay, so now, when you start the configuration of the camera, you might face that the Internet Explorer is not displaying the feed, is not displaying the camera correctly. That might be because there is a conflict or a wrong configuration with the ActiveX in Internet Explorer. In this case, we recommend set up the Internet Explorer and enable the ActiveX configuration. In this case, how can you do this one? It shows in the Internet options, especially in the security tabs and the customized level. You need to be sure that all the information related with the ActiveX, the control, the plugins are enabled, and the client has permission to receive the feed from the camera and control the camera. So make sure that when you start with a new camera and with a new in a new project, that the Internet Explorer is configured correctly. If not, you might have problems with the feed, or you are not be able to see in real time. Now, in this case, we have the configuration of video and audio. One of the important, the first configuration you need to make is the line frequency. This is related with the electricity, the line in your country. If your country is using 60 gigahertz, you need to configure the camera to 60 gigahertz. If you have the camera configured in a different frequency, you are going to face flickering. You are going to see the camera like flickering. Do you know which is the line frequency in your country?
60 megahertz, sir.
Okay.
Hertz pala, 60 hertz.
Okay, so you need to be sure that in the moment that you are configuring, you have in the correct line frequency. Now, I'm going to change to other camera. So now for the configuration in the video. Okay, so we all the ACTI cameras has 2 or 3 strings. It's important to configure these strings because each one has a different purpose. The first one is the string that you are going to use to record. This string is the one that is going to have the most, the better configuration or the higher resolution and the higher frame rate. This is going to be stored in your hard drive in the NVR. But when you are configuring the live view of the camera, you need to, as a recommendation, you need to have a lower specs, a lower resolution, and a lower frame rate. And especially when you have several cameras displaying at the same time. In this way, you can reduce the working load of the CPU, and you can have a better performance in the system. It's important that the video rate is set as a constant bit rate, and the video max bit rate should be around the same value of the megapixels that you are going to have. In this way, you optimize the usage of your hard drive. Now, each of the cameras has different abilities. In this case, we have motion detection and tempering. In the moment that you want to configure these options, you can go to video and the second tab, that's security. For configure the sensitivity in day and night mode, or the change of how they are going to change the strength of how high is going to be the options to change from night to day to night, you can change it in this way. Depending on the location the cameras are, you will need to set up this part in order to change the sensibility. Any questions so far?
Sir, in compression, sir.
Yeah?
In compression, sir.
Yes.
What are the differences in H.264 profile?
In this part.
No, sir. In the below, sir. Yeah, that's sir.
Okay. This is how it's going to be the compression of the video. Higher the profile, more compression.
So that's the ideal, sir.
Yes, that is the idea. Normally, you are not going to need to work with this compression, at least that your system is having performance issues. For example, if the client has a computer that has a lower spec CPU, you're most likely going to need to work with this part in order to reduce the demand from the CPU.
Sir, how about
This
the
is,
video bit rate mode?
can you say again?
The video bit rate mode from the constant and the variable. What's their difference?
Okay, variable is going to tell the camera that it can change the consumption depending on the complexity of the scene. Let's say like you have outdoor scene when there is a lot of movement. The camera is going to use more megabits. So you need to limit the camera. If not, the camera is going to try to use as much as it can. So it's going to occupy all your space. So the recommendation is keep the camera in a constant bit rate and maintain the maximum bit rate similar to the resolution you have. In that moment, you are going to have the best performance and you are going to get the best video, and you are going to have a proper manage of the storage of the space that is going to occupy each video.
Sir, sir, I
Yes.
have another. Do you have SNMP OID, sir,
Can you
inactive?
say again?
SNMP OID.
I am afraid that I don't understand you. Can you say again?
SNMP. The SNMP, sir.
SMCP?
SNMP, yes, sir. OID. OID, sir. OID.
Oh, okay, okay. Uh, can you give me a second, please?
Simple network management. Sabi mo, the simple answer. The meaning of simple network management.
Yeah, there is. You have the mic.
Hello, Bonjour.
Yes, sir.
Could you repeat again what you mean? SNTP, is it Internet Protocol?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Simple network management protocol, sir. For example, sir.
Here.
For example, sir.
Mm-hmm.
For example, 60 camera. What we recommended workstation for that, sir?
Do you mean like what is the recommendation in the settings for which camera?
The 60 cameras, sir. 60 sample, cameras. Sir, for 60 cameras.
Mm, actually, yes.
We're back to ano, sir. We're back to SNMP, sir.
Which of these configuration do you want to set up?
No, sir. If they have SNMP inactive, sir. Active.
No, I don't understand you. Sorry.
Sir, so when we enable SNMP, what characteristics can we monitor on the camera? Is it only for ping or can we monitor other statistics?
Ah, okay, okay, okay. I understand. I don't have the exact answer for this, but if you want, I can give you a more complete answer after the training, and I can talk with my development team, and they can explain in more details.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Sir Jano, another question, sir.
Yes.
Example for 60 cameras, sir. What are the recommended PC workstation requirements?
For 16 cameras and the MVR.
Yes, sir. Specifications, sir. Example.
Okay. Okay. I can finish with the cameras and we can go to the MVR and I can answer your question. Okay.
Hi, sir. Hi, sir. Thank you, sir. Sorry, sir.
Okay.
Sorry, sir.
Okay. Okay. So now, the last two parameters of the last two options that you can configure from the camera is in case that you need to create a specific privacy mask. This is for situation, for example, when the camera is close to ATM, when you want to have some privacy on the screen, or you have sensitive information in a specific part of the view angle of the camera, you are going to use the privacy settings and the mask. And for scenarios, when you have, let's say, like a different sources of light, like in this example, I have artificial source of light. Exists a possibility that I will need to help the camera to make a configuration to have a better image. In this case, well, I can use the expert settings. and I can change the amount of exposure that I'm going to give to the camera. Other important option is here is the shuttle speed. When we are using, for example, ARPR, when I try to detect the license plate of the cars in movement, it's recommended to have a higher shuttle speed in order to have enough frames with the information to read correctly.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Now, the camera have the ability to connect with different servers. We can connect with FTP servers, SMTP servers, and the HTTP. The first one is normally used when you want to store a specific snapshot. Let's say that you set up an event when it's a motion detection, take a snapshot and save it in a specific server. The SMTP is mostly used for notifications when you want to notify by email as a result of an event. And the HTTP server, you can use it to enable conversation between different cameras. Let's say like you have several bullets and you have a PTC. In this moment, the bullet can talk with the PTC when an event happens. When something is moving, can say, send information to the PTC to move and focus in that area. In this moment, you are going to use these two options of the server. Now, the notification server, this is a little bit more complex and is related with the projects. When you get notifications in the cell phone or in a specific client. And the NVR configuration is when, especially for projects, when the consumption on the bandwidth is important. The camera is going to be always sending the string on information to the NVR, no matter if the NVR is recording this information or just displaying live view. But in certain situations, the consumption of the bandwidth or it's limited. It could be for the internet provider or could be for other reasons. In this case, you can configure the camera to just connect to the NVR in the moment that the event occurs. Let's say like there is a motion detection, is something moving. In that moment, the camera connects to the NVR and send the information to the NVR. That is how it's where you can configure this type of behavior. We are okay?
Yes, sir.
Now, every time that you need to configure an event response, first you need to configure the event, be sure that the configuration is correct, and later start to configure the answer that you are going to get. Let's say that I want to send an email. Here is when I'm going to set the message that is going to be in that email and to who I'm going to send that email. I have three different messages that can be used in three different events. We have the snapshot and the video feed in the moment that you want to send some extra information or when you want to save some information in the SD card. Some of the cameras have the options to have an SD card. Let's say that you have an event when the network on the internet is down. You can configure the camera to save the information, save the video in the SD card. So in the moment that the internet returns, the camera is going to send that information to the NVR for recording. Now we have the event list. In this moment, the camera has 10 events. You can configure 10 different events. The configuration of the events is rather simple. You just need to enable it and set the trigger. The trigger can be for time, can be for motion detection, could be for switch from night to day mode, or can be triggered by tempering or for any other any other of these options. You can configure the amount of time that the event is going to repeat and the response. In this case, for example, when I want to send the message, I can select which method I'm going to use that I previously configured. Now we have the manual event. In this case, we can try. This is an option to try if my event is configured correctly. Now for the system, in the system you can configure the different uses to access the camera, or you can configure that the live view is going to be displayed without the needs of logging. Let's say that you can grant access to somebody to just see the live view. You can click here, and that person is going to be able to see, but is not going to be able to modify the configuration. Now we have in system information. We have information about the camera, the different parameters of the camera. And basically that is for the web configurator. Do you have any questions related with the camera and the web configurator?
Sure. Sample, sir.
Yeah.
If I edit this features in web configurator, will this save in the NVR also?
Most of the pictures are in the NVR too. I will show you how to synchronize the camera and the NVR.
Okay, sir.
Okay?
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Now, let's move to the NVR. Let's make clear that we have the NVR software and we have the standalones that are NVRs, are servers that are built and dedicated to NVR. So in this case, I'm going to use the same term for refer to the standalone and to the software. Okay? Okay. The first thing that we need to know is the NVR came in three different forms: the standard, the enterprise, and the corporate. Each one of them has different abilities and different features. For example, the corporate has the ability to integrate with external devices and with the POS devices. In this case, in order to answer the question of about which kind of requirement do I need for 16 cameras, will be like a core 2 to 4 gigabytes is going to be like the minimum requirement from this setup. Did I answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, the NVR has two main components, has the server and the workstation. The server is the one that is going to run all the services. In this case, I'm going to show you this. This is my server, and here is where all the servers and the report of the status of the server. Each of these servers has a different function. For example, the last one, the event handle service, is going to report every single event or how I'm going to handle the event. Let's say that I have a camera that is going to record just at night. This is the service that is going to handle this configuration. This is the configuration for connection. It's really important to be sure that this option, digest, is not checked when I have several people connected. This is going to limit the people to connect. If I click digest, any other external client is going to be able to connect. Just the person who is using the unit locally is going to be able to connect and open the NVR. Okay, so now we have the workstation. In the workstations, we have three main tabs, that is live view, recording, and settings. Let me go here. So this is let's say like a simplified diagram of how the cameras communicate with the NVR. The camera uses two specific ports to send the information from video and audio, and in the case of the PTC, the control of the PTC. All the displayment and the rendering is done by the HTTP port. So you need to be sure that when you are making a port forwarding, these ports are forward correctly to the switch in order that the NVR be able to take this string of information and display it. Now, have you used our NVR before?
No, sir.
You haven't used it before?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
No, sir.
You don't have any questions?
So far, sir.
Okay. So, okay. So let's start. Let's go really fast in this for the settings. One of the most important things that you need to configure to have a robust system and a system that is configured correctly is the users. You can create different users, and these users are going to have permissions to access to a different part of the NVR. In this case, I have two administrators who are going to be able to create, add, and delete users and be able to connect cell phones to make the push video. I have other users that are going to have access just to the basic information that is going to be live view and playback. You can divide the user per groups, and you can limit the access of these users. No, for the devices. In this case, I'm using a corporate, so I have the ability to add cameras, external devices, and POS. Each of these devices will need a specific license. The license you can find it in the tab System license. We have the license for the ACTI cameras, the license for third-party cameras or the cameras that are connected by on-bit. The license for external devices could be an ADAM or other network device, and the license for the POS. In settings, you can configure all the SMTP settings and the FTP. You can add the alarms when the CPU is overloaded, and you can modify the UI display. Now, for devices, for example, for the cameras, you have several options to add the camera. Could be manually, or could be by search, or by on-bit. For storage, for example, in this case, this is an example that my NVR is having database corruption. because the free space is lower than the reserve space. When you see this kind of behavior, it's because the user is modifying the recording files. It's trying to tamper the recording files. So is database corruption, and you are going to start to see problems with the playback. The reserve space is what the MVR used to index and modify the database. So this value should be at least 10% of the total space. Now, for schedule, in devices where you don't have enough space to store the information, you can configure the cameras to report and record just when an event happens. Let's say that you have a warehouse and you don't want to record 24 hours of nothing. You just record when it's something happened, when something moved. It's here in the schedule when you can you have the ability to configure the camera to work in that way. You can schedule by day, by hour, or by the event. This case, for example, in this case, I'm going to record Monday. Oh, okay. It's important that every time that you want to make an event recording, set the event handling. So all the information, let's say that you set up an event that when it's a motion detection, I'm going to send an email. If you don't set up the event handling, that email is not going to be sent. So it's really important to configure these two. Do you have any questions related with the schedule?
Answer. Answer.
Okay. Okay. Now in the tab event, you can configure events either for the server, for the camera, or for the other devices. The server is mostly when you want to know if it's having problems with the CPU or when it's running out of space. For the cameras, it's going to depend a lot from what kind of camera are you using. If the camera has built-in analytics, it's going to have more events. In this case, I have a camera that have the basics. So mostly it's going to have motion detection and sound detection. In this case, I can configure the response of this event that is similar to what we saw in the web configurator. But in this case, I can give alert inside the live view. Have you ever used the event tab?
No, sir.
No. Okay. Now, I don't have a POS machine in this moment connected in my lab, but I can show you how it looks like when you have a POS connected. The POS can synchronize with the camera, and you will be able to access this information either for the receipt or for the event that happened in the POS. Could be a generation of invoice or network loss, or when the cashier opened the drawer. You will be able to find that event and see the camera and the receipt. You will be able to look this event based in the invoice or the network logs or they open the cache here. Okay. Okay. So you have the ability to look for the recordings in the playback tab. To look for these recordings, you have different options. You have the options to look by the bookmarks that you make in the video due to a specific event. You can do it by the event itself. Let's see an example that I want to look for um, a video that occurred or something that happened when the network was lost. So I have the ability to search for these different videos. I'm going to do this in the playback function, in the playback tab, and in the search tab. Any questions so far?
Rental parcel.
Okay, so here I'm showing you how it's going to look when you have a bookmark and you look for a bookmark. You're going to have a timeline in the bottom part, and you're going to have the video in the upper part. Now a little bit of how is the schedule, how you can configure the schedule and the events. Okay. So before you make a question related with the MVR, can you repeat that question? Hello.
Sir?
Okay.
The question a while ago, sir?
The question was like if I can see the different options from the web configurator in the MVR.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you will have access to most of the options. So to be sure, every time that you have the correct configuration, you can always get the device settings. So the settings that you configure in the web configurator are going to be synchronized with the camera in the MVR. Okay. Now, if you want to go to the web configurator from the MVR, you have the option to go by the web configurator button that you have here. It's going to take you to the specific camera.
Save config.
Now, what is really important in the MPR and in the basic configuration is these two options: default live view string and recording string. The default live view is going to be the second string. That is the one who has higher compression, lower bit rate, and lower FPS. This is what is going to be displayed in the live view. And the recording, I'm going to keep the string number 1, that is who has the higher resolution and the higher FPS. Is clear this part related with the string?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So In the top video, you will be able to configure the motion detection and how the camera is going to, what algorithm is going to use the camera to encode the video. Do you have any question about the configuration of the camera, of the options?
Sir, is the resolution ano kinalaman? If I want viewing angle to be wide, will the resolution will I just adjust the resolution so I can get the wide viewing angle, sir?
No. The view is a little bit different. The view angle is going to be affected by the sensor and the lens of the camera.
Okay,
So you are not going to be able to modify the view angle.
okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, the resolution is going to be more how clear is the image that you have displaying. Give me a second. I'm going to try to show you an example of the resolution, or what is the resolution.
Okay, sir. I said,
Okay, this is a hello.
yes, sir.
This is an example of the resolution. This is how clear I'm going to see the image of the object inside. It's not going to modify the viewing angle. The viewing angle is going to be fixed for most of the cameras. So it's important that before choose the camera, you calculate correctly the view angle that you need, because that is a parameter that you are not going to be able to change. The resolution, some cameras you can change it. You can have a 10 megapixel camera and you can work with that camera to 5 megapixel. But you are not going to be able to change the viewing angle. So,
Sir, I'm talking about the aspect ratio, sir. Example, sir, if I change it to 2592 times 1944 from 1920 times 1080, will it be wide? Will it be wider, sir?
yes, yes. For example, here, you are going to cover more. For example, with 720, the view that you are going to have is going to be smaller than a 10 megapixel picture in this case. but you are going to have a limit in the viewed angle. For example, in this case, you have the 10 megapixel, and you can cover more ground, and you can reduce the megapixel, and you are going to have a narrow view.
Yes.
Did I answer your question? Or do you have any question?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any question?
None, sir. None, sir.
Okay. Do you want me to go deep in any specific topic?
Yes, sir.
Which one?
A while ago, sir. The PowerPoint.
Okay. Yes.
That's it.
Yes. Tell me. Are you going to ask me something related with the PPT?
Answer. So far, an answer. It's all right, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay. So now, leaving behind the MPR tree, I would like to show you a little bit of the structure of the ALPR server. Now, the ALPR server is our software that is focused in license plate detection. This is a software that is getting the information from the MPR. The MPR is going to gather all the cameras, and the ALPR server is going to get the information from the cameras from the MPR. So, are you familiar with the ALPR?
No, sir.
Okay, so the ALPR is a software that is dedicated to the license plate analysis. It's going to catch the feed from the cameras, and it's going to read the different license plates. Let me play you a little bit an example that is how this works.
That's cool, sir.
Hello. Do you have any question related with the MVR cameras or ALPR?
Uh, sure. While ago, sir, the 460 camera, sir. An example.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What are the recommended PC workstation requirements?
Okay.
Like,
So
yes.
we have different tools in our website that can help you to make a fast analysis of these situations. Yes. Yeah. So in our website, in the first part, you will have different information that will help you to plan your project. For example, in this case, you have two main things that you need to be aware when you are selecting the or making the project. One is going to be the bandwidth and the storage consumption. For example, how many days do you want to store the information, and what kind of cameras are you going to use? This is going to give you an answer that how much space do you need. Now, your question is related like what is the specs for a 16 cameras configuration? In this case, you can go to the project planner. And in the project planner, you have one that is cameras. What kind of cameras do I need? What kind of a standalone do I need? So in this case, you can use the standalone MVR performance validator. So in this case, let's see, we can use the INR on what type of cameras do I have, and it's going to tell me about the configuration. What kind of configuration do I need to have to have the better performance? This is when you already know like which standalone do you want to use. In your case, you can use the PC selector. Let's say that you want a dual stream, you want standard cameras, you want 16 cameras.
No, sir, 60.
60.
Yes, sir, 60.
60 cameras, let's say like 5 megapixels. This is going to give you the result. What kind of PC do you need? And what kind of performance configuration you will have.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm. So every time that you need to plan a project, you can use our tools that are in the main page. The project planner is going to give you all the information and is divided by the camera, the standalone, and when you use just the software. Okay?
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have any other question?
None so far, sir.
Okay. So do you have any doubt about any characteristic or any feature of our software or cameras?
Sir, a while ago, sir, the question about the SNMP.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That is specific question. Let me talk with the project manager, and I'm going to give you a more detailed information. Okay. I can send you that by email.
Okay, sir.
Yep. Okay. Do you
Sir,
have any other? Mm-hmm. Yes.
sir, about for the facial recognition, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Sir, is this possible if we integrate the access control system and also the facial recognition in one in one in one device, in one camera? If
Mm,
possible, sir. Can we make a solution for this, sir?
you want to have access control that is going to use facial recognition
Yes, sir. But not that, sir. Other cameras, sir.
with other camera.
Yes, sir.
Hmm. Let, let me come back to you with that answer too, okay?
Oh,
I will
okay.
come back to you by
Okay.
email to you, okay? And I give
Okay,
you
thank you.
a suggestion,
Yes, sir.
okay? Do you have more questions?
That's all, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to finish this webinar. So I'm going to send you by email the two answers for your question about the protocol and about the facial recognition access control, okay?
So we
Okay,
will just follow up the questions also. We will
yes,
follow this other question.
yes.
Okay.
I
Thank you.
will come back to you with more information, okay?
Alright, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, okay.
Hi everyone. Hello. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
So let's do a quick wrap up for Spanish sector. Is a very informative technical training. You have any questions now regarding the camera or NVR or the solution architecture, how you connect the NVR and the LPR server? Any? Hello?
Sir, a while ago, sir, my question, sir, about the access control.
Access control.
Yes, sir. I can. Yes, sir.
I think regarding this question, you can send me an email because this part I think is better with our, I mean the EAO department. They actually from the other department, they are more expert on this solution. Then I will get back to you. Okay.
Oh, yes,
There you
sir.
go.
Sure.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Hello.
Yeah.
Sure, I can hear you, sir. Sorry.
Recovery. I mean for the Q950 facial recognition, I would like
Yes.
to have your support to send me an email regarding this question because since this solution is from our other department, which is our digital enterprise department, they are more expert on this solution. So give me your requirement, then we can help you to design. Okay? Because now
Yes,
if
sir.
you ask me, I really have no clue how to answer you because I don't know their requirement. So how I can like recommend you the right camera?
Oh, yes, sir.
You want use Q950 as a camera to recognize the position?
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you.
What camera are you going to use? I mean, now in your picture.
Sir?
Do you have any idea which camera you will like to use?
We installed the warehouse computers one. For example, sir, the
Lester and
E58, sir. E58
Okay, thank you.
for facial recognition.
Let's say like this. Actually, the camera,
Yes,
we
sir.
have to decide the camera after we see the environment because we are talking about the facial recognition, not the video, right? So we have to understand what like the target we want to achieve, what is the like angle, say the camera, the angle, the resolution might affect the accuracy a lot. So we have to see the requirement, the environment first. If you can give me that, I can help you to choose the camera. But
Okay, sir.
instead of asking me, is like E53 suitable for this recognition, I really cannot answer you. Maybe can do a good job, maybe cannot. Because if they have like a different protection from a camera angle, from a camera resolution, it all might affect the accuracy a lot. The first thing,
Okay.
you find out what is the goal, the environment, what it will be, maybe entrance or maybe an open area. They want to use a facial recognition. Is there any idea?
Answer.
It's okay. Later you can send us an email and we can discuss further. Okay? For example, at least you can tell me if they want to install a facial recognition at the entrance or like in an open area, it's totally different. Even the algorithm we have to be different for different particular like environment or resolution like
I can send you an email to wrap up, okay? I will send you
Yes,
the
sir.
email with what kind of information do we need, and with the answer for the previous question, and what kind of information do we need to the facial recognition idea and project, okay?
Okay, sir.
So we can gather more information and make a better picture of the scenario that you are thinking or the scenario where the project is going to be done, so we can give a more accurate suggestion.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to finish with the webinar.
Yes, sir.
Any further questions, you can send an email to Luke or to me.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Daniel.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Salamat.
Bye bye.
Salamat. Salamat.
Salamat.
Wala.
Really,